The 2011 parliamentary year is drawing to a close, and so too are some long parliamentary careers. 9 MPs will be retiring at the next state election. One of them is Dorothy Pratt. The member for Nanango was voted in 1998 as part of the One Nation tide that swept Queensland. She later turned independent. I caught up with Miss Pratt at Parliament House this week to get her observations on the political landscape, the future of independence, and how she sees the rise of Bob Katter's Australian Party. Dorothy Pratt, when you announced your retirement, you said that you were disillusioned with the political process. Now, in your last days here in Parliament, do you stand by that?
I think disillusionment set in probably within 3 to 6 months of coming into Parliament. I hoped against all odds, I guess, that things would change, but basically I don't think a lot has changed. I see too many people saying one thing and doing another.
You stuck it out then for quite a long time, really, in hindsight, if you were so disillusioned so early in your career. Well,
basically, you're sort of brought up on the view that to try and make something better, you must change it from within, and I've found that perhaps that's not necessarily the way to go. And to be honest, I don't have the fight left in me anymore. I'm tired.
Why is that?
Possibly because I spend so much time on the road and spend so many hours away from home, and like all politicians, don't get enough sleep. But I want to take into account that I do have health issues. My husband's getting older, and the combination of all probably add up to its time.
You're leaving behind an electorate that you represented for 13 years. I imagine the LNP would view your retirement as a good opportunity to try to regain the seat that was previously long held by Sir Joby Elkie-Peterson. How do you rate their chances?
I would say don't get your hopes up too high. I believe, and people have told me, that I've done a reasonably good job and that I've represented them well. They're happy with what I've done, and I also believe that if they're happy with that, they'll give another independent a go, because they do believe that an independent can represent them first and foremost, whereas with a party, the member represents the party view first.
Do you think an independent stands a better chance than Bob Katter's Australian Party, which has put a very high-profile candidate in the former cricketer Carl Rackerman in your seat?
I don't think it necessarily flows that people see the big name as necessarily being able to do a job. I think when I first started, no one would have looked at me and thought I could have done the job, because I was incredibly shy. And so I think people in my electorate anyway will judge the candidates on who they are, and that's what I've asked them to do. I think it'll be the closest contest the Nanango electorate's ever seen.
How big a threat is Katter's Australian Party more generally to the major parties then, do you think?
I believe that the Katter Party will play the role that One Nation played almost 14 years ago for me, and that is that the disillusionment that was there in the first place when I got elected is still there, and it's still just as strong. So they will get a lot of disillusioned vote. People don't want Labor at the moment in my electorate, and they're not quite sure whether they want the LNP, so they've got to put their vote somewhere.
Bob Katter has been described as Pauline Hanson with a cowboy hat. Is there a likeness between the two?
No, I think Pauline probably looks better in a hat, to be quite honest. Look, Bob is Bob. He's larger than life. He's probably larger than his own hat, if the truth be known, and he will create a stir wherever he goes, and I think the media would be happy to see the stir.
As you said before, you were elected in '98 as part of that One Nation juggernaut when 11 One Nation MPs were elected to Parliament. Bob Katter reckons he's going to be even more successful than that. What do you think?
It'll be up to the people, won't it? Basically, One Nation was believed to have quite a large vote. It turned out that they did get a lot of MPs in, not as many as they wanted to get in, obviously. They weren't necessarily always the best candidates that stood, and people were smart enough to judge for themselves whether or not a candidate was suitable, and I think they'll do that this time. I think he will get candidates into Parliament, but how many, who knows.
Do you think we'll see a change in government?
Yes, I do. I think be quite honest, the Bligh government's on a flogging to nowhere, and people want change because of that. They're very unhappy with the way the state's been run at the moment, but they're not happy with the LNP. So the general populace is in a bit of a quandary where to go, and that leaves minor parties and independents. And my personal belief is independents will do more in this time of turmoil than a mixture of other parties.
Dorothy Pratt, thank you.
Thank you.